shall lead us to glory.
Good evening, this is Maestro Crusello with the Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast. Today we have a crazy 3v3 on this Tyranid looking map. It's a short but sweet game. First we have, on the blue team, nerdplaygames as Sindri, Trollface, Chaos Sorcerer, this melee hero with a lot of crazy shenanigans. He can do stuff that people still don't even know about for some reason. We also have BaDaBoom as the Chaos Lord, a much more straightforward commander compared to the Sorcerer, but extremely good. Arguably one of the best commanders in the game. Definitely, I mean, he is one of the best commanders in the game. Arguably the best. On the same team, we're going to call this Team Power Armor. We have Mechanicus as this yellow taxicab Techmarine. Ranged hero, can actually be pretty tough and does really good damage whether you use his ranged weapons or decide to upgrade him to melee. On the other side of things, we have TrueExample as the Tyranid Hive Tyrants, astoundingly powerfully and tough and durable commander. TrueExample, meanwhile, also has a triple Hormigaunt build, heavy melee build. We also have I Hate Fat People, which is not very nice. Fat people need loving too. He is playing as the Lictor Alpha, a stealth hero, very powerful in melee, although not quite as tanky as someone like the Hive Tyrant. And finally, we have ErasmusTycho, another very tough melee hero, extremely good, and in my opinion, again, I think he's one of the best. So one of the interesting things that we should notice here is that just about everyone from the red team is going with a extremely melee heavy build. We have TrueExample with his triple Hormigaunts. I Hate Fat People has 2 Hormigaunts and a Termagant Brood. And then finally, ErasmusTycho goes with triple Sluggas. So these melee heavy builds really give you a lot of power to push forward, especially early on in the game when most characters just don't have, or this early on in the game, no one's really going to have a lot of melee counters. Sorcerer already goes down, which is one of the other benefits of going with a heavy melee build. And when I say heavy melee, I mean a lot of melee. I don't mean heavy melee, the damage type. I Hate Fat People makes his next unit a Ravener. Ravener going to be both melee and ranged, and is mainly useful for the disruption and jumping it has. Basically, the Tyranid equivalent to Assault Space Marines, not as strong or not as durable, but they actually do both good range damage and decent melee damage over here. So, the blue team definitely lost that early engagement. We actually have Sluggas, 2 of them with Burnas, gonna get a Gen Bash right here. And, I mean, even if nerdplaygames walks all of his units over here, he's definitely not going to be able to stop a lot of these generators going down, and his current unit composition, unfortunately, kind of just straight up loses to this triple Sluggas. The Sorcerer in particular is someone who struggles with melee countering early on. I mean, once he gets to tier 2, he should be okay with the Robes of Torment, but right now there's not a ton he can do about it. And at this point, I don't even know if it's worth it for the blue team to put a power farm up here, because as long as these Sluggas can just get here, they'll just burn down generators really quickly. They got rid of that whole farm. Blue team, although I think blue team has been having a little trouble on the fighting, they are winning on the victory points right now. They still have over 490 victory points, 494 to be exact, and they're getting a 2 cap. They still don't really have much in terms of melee counters. Mechanicus does have the Mastercrafted Bolter. This is actually a pretty good melee counter. Will generally kill 1 model on most high model low HP squads, and also suppresses, so it will slow that unit down. Now we have this big melee blob. Now 3 Hormigaunts, 2 of them with Adrenal Glands, giving them a bit of health and allows them to leap against this whole, basically against 2 scouts and the Techmarine. Techmarine also has Bionics. So Mechanicus is doing the smart thing. He knows what's going on. He's already invested in 2 melee counters on the Techmarine and already has shotguns on both of his scouts. And we did see, I think that was Bionics definitely went off for the Mechanicus, or Powerful Sweep, as it's actually called. I think the Hive Tyrant also used a Psychic Scream, and Hive Tyrant already fully kitted out from TrueExample. And unfortunately, even with 2 shotgun blasts, that's one of the things that actually works about these melee intensive builds. We'll call them that, melee intensive builds. Is that usually, even if you use like a shotgun blast, when there are that many melee units, they can just get up and just start coming back. Even if you force off 1 squad, there's still 2, and they're still gonna just straight up beat any ranged unit in melee. Chaos Lord right here did a sync kill. Now kind of alone.
You are losing us a victory point.
And right now these attacks can't do a whole lot. I think, are we gonna get a shotgun blast, or is it still on cooldown? Chaos Lord right in here. Alright, there goes a shotgun blast. Chaos Lord in a little bit of trouble right now, literally surrounded by about like 6 melee units. He's really, at least in his current state, there's not enough he can do to all of those units. Fortunately, shotgun scouts still here, doing range damage. Shotgun scouts actually do very good range damage. And the Chaos Lord is not even taking hits. Because let's see, who's over here? TrueExample's over here. He's actually focusing on the generators. He's ignoring the other units and just focusing on the generators. And that actually is going to be pretty devastating to the blue team, because right now, blue has already suffered 2 gen bashes. And we already have replacement generators, but it's... oh, man, and now Slug is going to come to gen bash even more? Are they? Havoc squad for nerdplaygames. nerdplaygames already lost his Heretic squad. I mean, Heretics, certainly as good as they are, they don't stand a chance against multiple Slugger squads. The blue team, on the good side of things, they at least did bash and decap this power farm over here. So right now, red team is not currently getting that power. They still do have this full power farm up though, and they do have this node. And let's see, we have ErasmusTycho and Mechanicus both floating quite a bit of resources, although Mechanicus' problem is that he hasn't had enough power to get to tier 2, and that's what he's looking for. Victory points actually in favor of the blue team. They're managing to keep all this melee at bay, but I hate fat people. Right now, going for Gene Stealers, which is an extremely good unit, faster than Banshees, it does the same amount of damage, has an ability that can actually heal them as they attack, and they actually have very fast attack speed. A really good unit, especially in combination with Adrenal Gland Warriors, which I'm surprised we actually don't see here. I believe the Hive Tyrant has a little bit of a synapse, though. He has the improved synapse, and I think that's all these little yellow markings we're seeing on a lot of these units. Improved synapse. It just increases, let's see, increases health by 25%. Also increases the Hive Tyrant's health. We have Rending Talons. Basically a disruption ability and an anti-melee ability from the Hive Tyrant. And now we have most of BaDaBoom's units way too close to these melee units. Unfortunately, he got Chaos Raptors, which I think is a terrible choice. Chaos Raptors mainly used to hard counter setup teams and ranged squads, but they kind of get countered by any actual melee unit, any dedicated melee unit that's not a jump unit. Bloodlust goes down on these Chaos Raptors, which actually have upgraded to their Spiring Champion. Oh, and now Arm of the Inferno from the Chaos Lord, disrupting and doing damage over time to these Hormigons and a lot of units. One Hormigon Brood going to go down, I think. This little one right here, yes. TrueExample does lose a Hormigon squad, but these Raptors in a ton of trouble. Lose 3 models. Unfortunately, Raptors, I think right now, are just going to be a liability for BaDaBoom. BaDaBoom even loses his Chaos Space Marines, and he loses his Raptors too. A Flesh Hook from that Lictor Alpha takes out that Raptor. And Techmarine somehow still in here. I think Bionics is on cooldown though, or he doesn't have enough energy. Maybe we'll see it go off now, but he retreats. He gets him out of there before we get a wipe from these Gene Stealers, which do a ton of damage. Chaos Lord in here, now upgraded with Lightning Claws and Arm of the Inferno. Uses Destructive Strike, actually does really good damage. Good anti-melee ability, and Kill the Weak. So that's actually one of the main weaknesses in the red team build right now. Fortunately, BaDaBoom has made some smart investments here. Lightning Claw's Destructive Strike, anti-melee ability, along with Ori Kill the Weak, and then just Armor the Inferno with Let the Galaxy Burn, basically just to do a lot of damage to those big-ass blobs. Meanwhile, Mechanicus had actually pushed up all the way into this power farm and taken it. Although it looks like the Tyranids are going to get it back now. TrueExample does have that Adrenal Gland Warrior Brood. Going to make them just really ridiculous again. Now, certainly we're seeing a lot of losses from both teams, but especially from the blue team, especially from BaDaBoom. He's getting another Raptor squad, which is a terrible idea, unfortunately. Again, Raptors, they lose to just about any melee squad in straight-up combat. Mainly used to counter range units and setup teams. So unfortunately, it's not good that he's getting another and spending the resources to get an aspiring champion. On the other side of things, BaDaBoom has made a great choice in terms of kitting out his Chaos Lord with an anti-melee build. He now has the Icon of Corn, synergizes extremely well with the Lightning Claws, uses Let the Galaxy Burn on that blob, and I think this is an engagement that's going to favor the blue team. So that Icon of Corn is going to give the Chaos Lord 1% of his health back with every strike he makes, and with the Lightning Claws, he attacks really, really fast. And Tyranids actually get forced off right there. We have a Tzeentch Dreadnought from nerdplaygames, I think mainly to deal with this War Truck, and this triple Slugga. Unfortunately, yeah, with triple Sluggas, all three of them with Burnas, there's really not much way that nerdplaygames can protect this power farm. The most he could do would be buy a Havoc, but then even if he buys a Havoc, the War Truck would actually just drive around. And this War Truck, upgraded with reinforced plating, but undoubtedly going to go down here from the Tzeentch Dreadnought. Tzeentch Dreadnought, such great AV, and now this Tzeentch Dreadnought is actually, oh man, and there we go. nerdplaygames also doing a good job of using anti-melee builds, has the Robes of Torment. I would say, and I'm saying this as a Sorcerer player, one of the best melee counters in the game, especially if you have just a strong standing army with Chaos. Right now we do have double Chaos Space Marines right here with Eternal War from nerdplaygames, also with Aspiring Champions. That's something I personally don't agree with, but hopefully he'll eventually get some kind of mark on it. I think Tzeentch would be better in this case. Now, ErasmusTycho already going to Tier 3. His only purchases, I think, have been the Slugga Boys, which are all level 2. His Warboss also level 2, and then he had that War Truck to transport them around. We have had some squad losses from the Tyranid players. TrueExample going for a Venom Brood to deal with that Dreadnought, I think. Meanwhile, I Hate Fat People going for a second Genestealer Brood. Genestealer's way too good, and that's going to be a tough build to deal with, especially if he follows it up with a Adrenal Gland Warrior Brood to use the Synapse to give these Genestealers even more health than they already have. But blue team, as much as we're seeing a lot of losses from the blue team, mainly from BaDaBoom and to some extent nerdplaygames, they're keeping this melee blob at bay. And this Chaos Dreadnought is actually going to be really good against the Slugga Boys, because it can use the ability to suppress the blob, and then even if they get in, it's actually going to beat most of these units in melee, because it's a vehicle. And now we have Robes of Torment again. Nerdplaygames doing a really good job right now of countering ErasmusTycho in general. Even his Warboss with heavy armor and the Power Claw is just stuck right here. It does have the Power Claw, which will definitely threaten the Dreadnought, but this Warboss actually has way too little health and is getting forced off. Will not go down, to be honest, just because he has heavy armor. Gives him a ton of health, and now we have big fights going down right here. Massive fights. I wish I wasn't watching that other one. Now we have Disruption from the Whirlwind Artillery Tank. In spite of Disruption, that was a bad engagement for Mechanicus, and he does lose a lot of his units. BaDaBoom himself loses his second upgraded Raptor squad, which hopefully he's not going to build another one, because it's just not working out for him. because it's just straight up getting countered by everything here. It gets countered by other melee units, especially a lot of melee units. Chaos Dreadnought says, "Enough beating on this power node." And the only unit left here is the Chaos Lord. Chaos Lord uses Let the Galaxy Burn, hits that whole blob, and actually causes knockback because it killed, I think, a Venom Brood. And this Chaos Lord in here used Destructive Strike, I think. Now uses Kill the Weak, back at full health, taking on an entire Tyranid blob by himself. Good choices by BaDaBoom to upgrade his Chaos Lord the way he did. Unfortunately, his Chaos Lord might go down now. No, because we have Disruption. I think we even had a powerful sweep, and we had a Rocks, I think, that I missed, sadly. Now we have triple stick bombs from ErasmusTycho, some ridiculous anti-bob billies, and wow, look at all those Tyranid units dying. Looks like we had a Dark Flames, maybe. Chaos. Oh, what we had was actually Dark Flames with the icon of Tzeentch. nerdplaygames using one of my favorite builds against the Tyranids. Actually, I mean, it was working out there. It's not as effective against Hormagaunts as it is against Termagants or Guardsmen, just because with that melee Synapse, they'll have a lot more health per model, so they won't die as easily. And this Tzeentch Dreadnought actually being a great choice for nerdplaygames. Tyranno formation going off. What will it hit? I think this Chaos Dreadnought might even take a... No, I thought he was going to take a tree. Oh, there he does. He gets hit by one, but he's okay. We still have Chaos Space Marines with no mark. And, I mean, I guess that might actually be okay now. Oh, and Icon of Tzeentch again. Disrupting those Hormagaunts as models die. A Brood Nest went down there, but already died from the Chaos Dreadnought. Tons of grenades going off. Unfortunately, for ErasmusTycho, these Chaos Heretics are actually very spread out because they're worshipping. And the Chaos Lord in here. Unfortunately, Swarm Lord out for TrueExample. Really going to threaten this Chaos Dreadnought. Dreadnought is in trouble. So is this Whirlwind. The red team pushing back now. But red team very low on victory points. Only 54. I think they're going to get this Chaos Dreadnought right here. Just with the Genes... No Gene Stealers. Yes, Gene Stealers right here. Still at power melee, I think, though. Adrenal Gland Warriors. Alright. Chaos Dreadnought does go down. Is actually getting repaired. I think we have the repair global going off from the Techmarine. And we have a ton of units from the red team and very few units from the blue team. And now a 2-cap for red. So, red team certainly winning on the engagements, but I think they're not paying enough attention to map control. Although, as I'm saying, they're not paying attention. They do get a 3-cap, and that was in part responsible from a back cap from I Hate Fat People's Termagant Brood. No upgrade. He's really focused on the melee. Did not even upgrade his Termagants. Great Unclean One out for BaDaBoom. BaDaBoom, as far as I know, has not had any more than 3 units out on the field, including his Chaos Lord. Maybe at some point he had 4, including his Chaos Lord. A big disruption happens from that Great Unclean One with the Stomp. Oh, man. Big fight going on down here. And it's actually like a million Tyranid units against the Chaos Lord and the Great Unclean One. The Great Unclean One doing a ton of damage, and we're now seeing a lot more losses from the red team. Stick Bomber goes down for ErasmusTycho. TrueExample actually lost most of his units, and now we have a turret from the Techmarine, but getting hit by this Warboss. Warboss, is he going to take out the turret, or will he go down? Techmarine repairing the turret, wants to keep it up, and now I think the Warboss gets special attacked by the Sorcerer and is even going to get wiped by these Vanguard veterans. And now this Chaos Lord has really been the star of this game. Level 8 Chaos Lord. Actually countering the Chaos Lord by himself, countering like the entire armies for both of the Tyranid players. Now we have Chaos Terminators out for BaDaBoom. Another great choice, to be honest, especially considering you got the autocannon, which is going to be good against the Swarm Lord and the Carnifex. We now have another Tyrannoformation going down. Those Tyrannoformations, and this Swarm Lord is actually almost dead, taking too much Tzeentch missile fire. And the autocannon Havocs are actually focusing on the Carnifex, which has been upgraded with a Venom Cannon. But this Swarm Lord going for the Whirlwind. Will it get it? No, it will not. Mark target on the Swarm Lord. Caused it to die. Along with the help of this Predator. Now Nurgle Predator. And players are calling a GG. I think that's a GG for the blue team. I mean, the blue team. I think the blue team is, they're kind of saying they're winning here. TrueExample had a huge melee blob, but I think he kind of lost all of it. I Hate Fat People lost a lot of his units as well. ErasmusTycho is the only one really with an army on the field, and he's actually trying to come in with a flank. But Slugga Boys, unfortunately, those Sluggas did a lot of good work early on, but they actually did not scale well in the context of this match. And Slugga Boys, one Slugga squad actually gets wiped from ErasmusTycho, and it looks like the victory point counter is just going to count down. We actually had a Imperial Abyss hitting something. I'm not even sure what. And now we have an orbital bombardment, not even gonna finish. But that is the end of the game. Crazy 3v3. I was watching this and was curious about how the blue team was going to handle that intensive melee build. And we did see for a while the red team, although they were behind on the VPs, they were definitely winning on the fighting. They had like way more units than the blue team had. But we had some very good choices from all three players on the blue team with melee counters, whether it's the Chaos Lord with everything he had, Sorcerer with Robes of Torment and Icon of Tzeentch, as well as this Techmarine himself, even with eventually switched to Signum armor, but also had that Mastercrafted Bolter. And for a while he still had them, he had 2 scouts, but both of those died. At any rate, hope you enjoyed the cast. Please have a good night and enjoy yourselves.